Hi there guys, Metal Crusader here. So here we are once again to talk about 3 albums that I have in my collection. As the previous video, it's just an assortment of albums that I feel like talking about. No particular reason to put these albums together, I guess, in this video. So let's start and let's talk a bit about these 3 albums. To start, I will be talking about one of the bands that I think it's the band that I believe it's the most extreme, most violent band in existence right now, which is obviously Revenge. So let me just show you. So there you go. Read right there, black LP, and it comes with a booklet. As you might have guessed, the name of the release is Behold Total Rejection. I can show you like this. It's a really long booklet, which is good. I like it. I like when bands do this. Honestly, I don't know about you, but when I listen to music, I actually like to go through the booklet as I listen to the release. Just a side note there from my personal tastes. So, Revenge. They should need no introduction, but still, this is a Canadian band. It's war metal done at its finest. It's just probably the most extreme, most violent band that came to existence, and it's one of my personal favorite bands. I really like these guys, and I believe they do an amazing work. Now, Behold Total Rejection came out on 2015. It was released through Season of Mist's Underground Activists, and to talk about this release, Revenge, like I mentioned, is a band that focus on its extreme, on its violent, on its raw aspect. Not that the production is raw. Honestly, I don't think it could be called raw, but I believe it couldn't be called not raw too. It's just a weird production, but one that definitely fits the release. And throughout this release, you have these incredible aggressive riffs, these somewhat cohesive moments where everything seems to be going on a certain direction, but suddenly you are struck, you are attacked, everything changes. Again, it's Revenge we're talking about. This is what they do best. It's just violence, it's just aggression, it's just that. There is not much more to say. There is no harmony in the release, and while you're listening to it, instead of the usual music, instead of what you'd be expecting from a typical musical release where everything works together to form a melody, to form an harmony, to form something, here that does not happen. Okay, let me rephrase it. It happens on some rare occasions, not to be beautiful, not to be melodic, not to be that sort of thing. No, it just happens that they start going on the same direction. every instrument starts to go in the same direction, because what you're listening to constantly, it's the instruments fighting each other. It's just the drums trying to overcome guitars, bass trying to overcome the drums, and reigning above it all, you have these amazing vocals performed by Jay Reed, just butchering everything else. They can go from somewhat high-pitched to deep tone vocals filled with a lot of the typical oaks from, let's call it that way, from this type of music, I guess. And there's something in this mixture of death metal, of this grindcore, of this black metal. Everything is thrown into the pot, everything is fighting, everything is striking each other. And it sounds and feels like that. It feels like a constant attack, a constant aggression. And that's what makes this release incredible. That's what makes Revenge incredible. So, one of their finest releases, but honestly I can't tell you a bad release by Revenge. I believe there's no such thing. And well, there's no surprise there. After all, in my personal opinion, I know that some of you might disagree and might call upon blasphemy, but these guys, on my personal opinion, are the ones that helped to define what is war metal, what it stands for, and it's this. And that's that. That's that. So, for favorite tracks, I would recommend Wolf Slave Protocol, so track 3, and Desolation Insignia, which is track 2 from side B. By the way, I know you probably can't notice that, but this release is all on, how do you call it? I'm failing the word, god damn it. You can feel stuff when you pass your hand on the release, you feel stuff. And it's a really, really cool release. Now, moving on. After Revenge, I'll be talking about a much, much softer release. This time, a release from this year. I believe it's the first time I'm talking about a release from this year on this channel. I believe 2020. This is the first release I'll be talking about, and it's Skyforest, A New Dawn. Okay. Now, after talking about Revenge feels a bit weird, just because they are extreme opposites, but both of them really good at what they do. Now, Skyforest, this release was put out by Northern Silence Productions, again one of my favorite labels, and they hail from Russia, and this is their third full length. Skyforest is atmospheric post-black metal band, and this release is just incredible. It's a true journey to listen to this. There are incredible moments, beautiful moments throughout the music. There is like this feeling of hope. There are moments that, do you know, it's like as if you were underwater and suddenly you come to the surface to breathe a bit. There are moments on this release that feel just like that. At least it made me feel on certain moments like that, like coming out from the water and breathing a bit. There are incredible clean vocals moments, a bit of the typical black metal vocals too, but not too much. And there are these orchestral moments throughout the release that really make it shine. It's a release that, unlike most metal and unlike most of those typical releases, it's a journey, it's peaceful, it's freeing to listen to this. But at the same time there are some moments where there is this little sad note, this little sad moment, and when listening to this, it's just incredible. It's just that good. It's a unique release, and Skyforest is a unique band in my personal opinion. If you like atmospheric metal in general, not just the typical atmospheric black metal, but atmospheric music, I would definitely recommend you Skyforest. No doubt, it's incredible. One of my... Look, there's a reason why it's one of the first releases I'm talking about from this year. It was probably the first, maybe the second release I purchased that came out this year. So I guess that speaks for itself. Oh, just remember, yeah, I talked about another release from 2020, Sojourner. And that's that. So it's an incredible release, really atmospheric, peaceful, freeing, and beautiful. Listen to it. Listen to it because it's a unique experience listening to this. I know that a lot of you probably won't like it, but I am certain that at least some will fall in love with this release. Recommended tracks: track 2, The Night Is No More, and track... oh, it has the numbers, I was counting. And track 5, The Wanderer. Amazing tracks. By the way, track 2 has also a guest vocal on this release. There are guest vocals on track 2, and track 6 by, let me just check, Claire de Lune. I haven't searched yet who she is, but I'm certain I will enjoy it. At least she has a good vocals. By the way, the clean vocals on the release are by Michael Rumble. Everything else is done by BM. So, to talk about the next and last release of this video. Ungfell, or Ungfell, or however you want to read this. Okay. Really, really cool artwork, by the way. Oh, and it also comes with this really, really tiny poster. I want to hang it, need to get a frame for it. For this one and for another frame. From the release I showed in the previous video from Diocletian. So, really, really small poster, but really cool. I really like it. Now, Ungfell. Ungfell is a band that hails from Switzerland. This particular release came out in 2017. It was released independently, and it's their first full length. Ungfell is a band that I discovered about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, I'm not sure. I have this friend of mine with whom I talk a lot about music, and he showed me their release. I believe it was called Marin's Pestilence something. Sorry for not remembering everything, but these names, come on, I haven't even tried to pronounce the name of this release. Bringare, I guess, Bringare. There you go, if you can read it. It's just strange naming to me. I know that if you're from Switzerland, probably it's usual, or maybe from Germany, it's also usual, but I actually can't pronounce that. Ungfell, what the first thing that captured my attention, now talking a bit about both releases right now, about the Marin Pestilence something and Bringare, was the vocals. That was the first draw of attention. Then eventually I went and started listening to the discography, and when I listened to this release, there is something incredible that I noticed they do, and now talking about this particular release, that it shines through on this release, which is their medieval folky influences. There is like, it's not that sort of folk music we would expect from, let's say, it's not elevated, it's not Korpiklani, it's not that sort of folk, it's not that happy folk. It's, but it's also not a sad folk, it's a medieval, different sort of folk, let's call it that way. And there is something incredible that they do, which is when you're listening to the release, there are moments on which the metal totally disappears and you're listening only to medieval music and suddenly the metal comes back. There are moments where they are both at the same time, very, very rare moments when that happens, but it does happen. And there's just an incredible feel to this release. It just somehow it fits perfectly, this medieval music with this, and I guess that's the reason why the first country that came to my mind when I listened to them was France. Of course, then I found they were from Switzerland. Of course, from France these names would be weird, but the first country that popped out was France because it really remembers you of bands like Vehemence, maybe even in a certain way, not as much, but in a certain way, Peste Noire can also pop up in your mind when I'm listening to this. But they go in a totally different way, and on more personal way, on different and on their own. How can I put this? On their own road, on their own path. So, to sum it up, really folky, quite interesting riffs, but honestly what stands out on them, at least for me, it's the vocals. The vocals are just something incredible. There are moments where we have these really high-pitched screams going throughout the release. And man, the band is incredible. Like I mentioned, I discovered the band 3-4 weeks ago, and as soon as I could, on the next order that I made online, actually I got this on Season of Mist, if you want to know, but the moment after I got the chance to order something online, I immediately ordered this release, because they are that good, they are that unique. It's just incredible, and I will recommend you to listen to this, to take some time and appreciate this piece of art for what it is. Recommended tracks. Okay, here we go. Track 3, which is Gotteszacker. I'm not sure how to pronounce that here. Maybe you can read it there. And Der Opfersprung, which is track 8, I guess. Not sure if you counted correct. It's this one. Yes, you can read it. So, Der Opfersprung. Like I mentioned, Ungfell is a really good band. Really good that I have this now. And will definitely buy more releases from them. So, with that being said, I guess that's it for today. Not much more to talk about Ungfell. And that's it. We talked about 3 releases, so as usual, if you enjoyed, share, like, subscribe, you know. And until the next video, keep your horns up.